Hello and welcome to our series on commodity trading. Each week we're going to discuss two separate commodities and focus in on them. We're going to learn more about them and we're going to find out if potentially they may be right for you. Today we're going to be focusing specifically on crude oil, which is in the energy space. We will first start off with a brief description and then we're going to go into a small brief technical picture on the commodity. At the end of this video, you'll have some basic knowledge available to you, which will enable you to decide for yourself whether or not this commodity may be right for you or not. Above all else, please do your own research before attempting to trade any market. With that being said, let's get started. First, a brief overview. Oil is commonly referred to as the lifeblood of the global economy. Even now, at a time when renewable energy sources are rapidly being adopted, oil still reigns supreme as the single most important commodity in the world. Oil comes from three main sources: the US, Russia, and certainly the most important, OPEC. OPEC stands for the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Some of its members are the following: founding, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Venezuela, Iraq. Other members include Algeria, the UAE, Congo, Libya, Nigeria, and Equatorial Guinea. Angola used to be a member, but they withdrew in 2024. As of today, OPEC produces approximately 28.9 million barrels per day. The US produces approximately 13.39 million barrels per day, and Russia produces approximately 10.32 million barrels per day. Russia used to be number 2, and the US used to be number 3. Because of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and through the use of sanctions, Russia has been pushed down to number 3 and the US has surpassed it on a exporting output basis. The three largest economies that consume the most oil per day are the EU, the US, and China. There are some large and mid-sized economies such as India and Japan which don't have reserves, but they do consume an enormous amount of oil and they rely strictly on imports. One of the many factors that influences the price of oil is the balance between supply and demand. In most simplest terms, if demand is going up and supply is not there, price will go up. If supply is outstripping demand, price will go down. There are many different types of oil, but the two most commonly known are Brent and WTI. Brent comes from the North Sea and trades in London on the ICE EU exchange. WTI, which stands for West Texas Intermediate, is from the US. It's stored in Cushing, Oklahoma, and it trades on the NYMEX here, which is a part of the CME here in New York. Some of the major players in the market, company-wise, are Saudi Aramco, ExxonMobil, Chevron, PetroChina, Shell, Total Energies, ConocoPhillips, BP, and Petrobras. Some of the major funds that are in the market are Vitol and Glencore. Who else potentially could be in the market? Well, you have refiners such as Valero. You can even have airlines that are doing their own hedging for refining purposes on jet fuel. Oil is the most sensitive of all commodities in the world when it comes to both economic activity and political events. Prices can move extremely rapidly on any headline, as we saw earlier this week when the headline came out that Israel was potentially going to be bombing Iran nuclear facilities. Once the maintenance period was over, oil exploded to the upside. Other factors include economic reports, whether you have in the US you have an 8:30 a.m. report, or those GDP, CPI, non-farm payroll, as well as 10 o'clock reports that come out in the US, which could be ISM and the such. With that being said, let's understand why oil would move on economic activity. So because oil is used to grease the global economic machine, if an economy is slowing, or a major economy, whether it be the US, the EU, China, if a major economy is slowing down, that means that the demand for oil is going to be slowing down. Whether it be workers who are being laid off, which no longer need to put gas in their cars, whether it be drilling for oil, as demand slows, they're not going to keep drilling for oil. They're not going to be exploring for it as much. They're not going to be working on new wells. Whether it be people being laid off which are no longer like I said, are no longer driving to work. We have companies, when people are being laid off, a lot of times companies are shutting down factories. Companies could be going out of business. So recession plays a very big part in oil. For the most part, oil can predict a recession. If oil is going down because demand is dropping, usually it could be a good forecaster of oil. The other thing that oil does is oil is an inflation hedge. So you'll notice here in the US when CPI got up to about 9.1, 9.2%, that is when oil topped out. Oil saw it coming. So oil was getting there already before it. I think it came within a week or so. I'm not exact. Within a week or so of that 9.1 CPI print. Once that print was done, oil pretty much backed off. And then obviously CPI was dropping as well. So oil is primarily the inflation hedge. People mistake it with gold, but it's really oil. Oil is really the one that is the good forecaster on economic activity. With that being said, let's get to some of the technical picture, and then we'll bring in some of the political events, but we're going to start there. So here we're going to start with a monthly, and then we're going to go to a daily chart. We'll start with a daily. So let's start with a daily, and then we're going to go to a monthly. The reason why we'll start with the daily is because one of the things you'll notice with oil, and this is really with all commodities in general, commodities are usually very range bound. You can see here clearly that we're in a range. Yes, we go in and out of the range, but for the most part, oil sits in a range. So let's just draw a little bit of a range so we can just see it clearly for ourselves. And you can see for the most part, oil pretty much stays in a range. It may come out, pop in, but you see it pretty much lives in a range. Now granted, this is a $66 to $73 range. It's a rather large range, but it does stay in a range. The reason why that's important is because it makes oil trading a lot more predictable. When you go out, you can see, yeah, it does have times where it trends up or down, but for the most part, like any commodity, you can see how it just pretty much sits in a range. Like even over here right now, currently, we are sitting in a range. Right? You can see we're in a range. Okay, that is what commodities do. Commodities do not necessarily always break out. They're not stocks. As a consumer, you want commodities to be relatively stable so that you can predict what you're going to be paying at the grocery store for your groceries, what it's going to cost you to fill up your tank with gas. These are things that affect consumers. So why is this important? The reason why it's important, specifically as it comes to oil, or any commodity for that matter, is that if commodity prices are going up and down like a stock, that would mean, just in layman's terms, if you went to the gas station, because we're talking about energy, and today it costs you $3 to fill up your tank, and tomorrow it costs you $3.50, and the next day it costs you $4.75 a gallon, and the next day it costs you $6 a gallon, and then 2 days after that it costs you, prices fall out of bed and it goes and now costing you $2.50. It's, as a consumer, you're not going to be able to balance your own home budget. So commodities in general are not necessarily instruments that have price appreciation like a stock. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is it's important to manage expectations of what these things can actually do in general commodities. Commodity trading, for the most part, is probably the most boring of all asset classes. Again, because of this range characteristic. One thing to note, as we bring up some more charts here, just to look more at the technical picture, one thing to note with commodities versus stocks, and this is something that I think people forget, in the stock market, there is always a natural buyer. Meaning, the purpose of the stock market, besides for traders, but the real purpose of the stock market is for companies to go up, meaning a company's growing, their stock price should grow. The company's doing well, the stock price should do well. So there's always a natural buyer within the stock market. Within the commodity space, it's the exact opposite. There's always a natural seller, meaning you drill oil to produce a barrel, that barrel gets consumed. You go and you grow wheat, that gets consumed. Corn gets consumed. So commodities, in general, by their very nature, are consumption-based instruments, as opposed to stocks, which people buy and they hold on to forever. People don't buy wheat and hold on to it forever, expecting the price to go up. They buy wheat so they can turn it into other things. So just always keep that in mind. Now, that doesn't mean that commodities are just short them all the time. That's not what it means. It just gives you an understanding of why they move the way that they move, why they are more range bound as opposed to stocks, which have price appreciation inherently built into them. With that being said, other factors which we discussed a few moments ago was political events. So we discussed the Iran nuclear site rumor. You'll notice on that day, which was on the 20th, and the 20th was on Tuesday. Now, these charts have already been rolled, so you're not going to see it as well. But you'll notice that the main thing that happened when that news event happened on the 20th was that oil gapped up after the 6 o'clock open and just sold off afterwards. Why is that? One of the things that you'll notice as you get more familiar with oil is that if the oil market doesn't believe right away the headline, they will go in the exact opposite direction. They will not sit there and just keep it up there for no reason. If the oil market, if the players believe that the rumor or the news is not viable enough for price to go up, oil will go down pretty quickly. And you'll notice on that night, when it happened on Tuesday night, it topped out almost instantaneously and they sold it off the rest of the day. And as a matter of fact, it never looked back. And within a few hours, oil was already back down to where it was at the settlement, and then it went red that day. Another factor that plays a big part in oil is Europe. Now, why Europe and not Asia? The primary reason is because Brent trades in London, so it trades European hours. So Brent and WTI trade in lockstep with each other. They may be different prices, and there's usually a spread between them, $2-3 spread between them, which we'll do in a separate video. But for the purposes of this discussion, if Brent is going up, WTI will go up. If WTI is going down, Brent will go down. So one of the ways that you can see what potentially may happen in the day is to look at where WTI and Brent are in relation to each other when you come in the morning. So if Europe was selling it off all day long, when you come in the morning in New York, you should expect that oil is going to be down and that oil potentially may just keep going. One of the ways that you can get a clue on that is if you look out on Thursday at 2 o'clock in the morning, which was before London opened, oil had a massive move. It went from 61.75 to 60.49 in an hour. It's a big move for an overnight move when liquidity really isn't there. And it pretty much never looked back. It was a big challenge for it. Okay, it happened Wednesday night going into Thursday. It took until Friday for us to get back there, and we really didn't get back there. One of the things that you'll notice about oil, which is also good to know, is that oil for the most part is very gappy. We're going back a couple of days here just to show you. Close, gap up. You'll notice it's very gappy. It gaps a lot. Now the one thing that's good about oil is that oil is very good for gap and go strategies and breakout strategies because it's very clean. When it goes, it just goes. Always keep this in mind. It'll be a recurring theme that we'll have throughout our commodity discussion. Commodities are not like stocks. When commodities go, they just go. They don't mess around. So if you're not on the right side and you're trying to fight it when they're going, you will be run over. So it's very important not to fight it. Okay, I know that a lot of people have regression analysis and reversion type of trading. When commodities go, they just go. One of the reasons for that is because with commodities is that, and this isn't a general statement, even for oil, is that someone has to be on the other side. It's not like a stock where there's always like a pulse, where the bid offer spread, there's some kind of pulse going on. In commodities, when nobody's there, the bid offer spread just stops because there's nobody there. So always keep in mind that one, Oil is very gappy. 2, you must be aware of all economic events that are coming out and news headlines, because again, it's very sensitive to it. 3, understand that when it goes, it does go. 4, don't fight it. This will be the first of many videos. We're going to be doing them as basics to pique interest. Once we go through the whole gamut of all the commodities, we'll circle back and we'll start doing more in-depth knowledge on the commodity. In the interim, if it's something that you're interested in, please respond with comments in the question and ask a question. We will respond to you. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Best of luck. See you on the next one.